Hello. Hey, how are you guys? It's me, Kirsten, and this is the It's Giving Mystical podcast. And this is your weekly podcast, the card of the week for August 2nd. And I will be doing a little mini podcast on the tarot numerology of August in the next week or so keep an eye out for that. But today we're here to talk about the energy for this week, the here and the now. How are you? How is the moon? Did you see what I meant about that smother mother thing? Did anyone hear themselves uttering the words, be careful? Anyone? And kind of getting a sense of maybe where you in your own life or where people around you, that kind of balance game of I want to love you and help you and guide you, and I also need to let you do your thing. I also need to let you live your life. Did you feel that for yourself, right? The ways that you kind of keep it close, keep it tight, keep it safe. And then the part of you that's like, itchy for more freedom, wants to spread its wings, wants to make a mess even a little bit. I wonder if that was with you. Would love to hear how that hit you. Would love to hear what was happening in your dream space, because the dream space was so active. And just the beautiful invitation that is the moon. Are you ready to evolve? Are you ready to evolve? Are you ready to step forward? Are you ready to cross the gate? That great leap towards ourself, towards adventure, towards freedom, towards whatever our heart is craving. It is in many ways a great leap into an evolutionary movement, because we don't go back. You can't go back. That's another message that comes from the moon card. And again, like the crayfish says, it's okay if you don't want to go. It's okay if you don't want to go yet. But maybe you notice there were places where you really feel different. Like you feel like, wow, I handle this differently. I really do this differently than I used to. And either way, aho to life, aho to the moon, aho to just the insight that comes from staying curious. Like, what's happening? What do I feel? Let me honor what is. Let me honor what I'm responding to. Let me honor my emotions. Let me honor my desires, because I deserve that. I don't usually talk business on the podcast because I get so excited talking about the cards because I'm a big tarot nerd. But I am going to finally be launching this tarot course in the next week or so, and I'm really excited about it. I think originally it was going to be a mid-September start date. I think I might actually make it a early October start date. But either way, it's going to be a 7-week journey, and it's going to be amazing, and I'm really proud of it, and I'm really excited about it. And I just was doing some of the videos last night and just like, I really can't wait to be with a group of people live talking tarot. It's always such a magical experience. So if you have any interest in doing that with me, go over to givingmystical.com and get on the wait list. And then I will be sending out information so soon about that. I'm really excited about it. Yay. Okay, there's that business thing. The card of the week is the 10 of Swords. 10 of Swords. Okay, let's just say right off the bat, 10s are too much of that element. So too much air energy, too much movement, too much mental energy, too much thought, too much talking maybe. The 10 of Swords is a little too much air. In the tarot, we have 10, but we also have 9. 9 is completion. 9 is the fullness. 9 is the ending. So the 10 comes in to remind us how beautifully human we are and how sticky we get and how hard it is for us to change or shift when it's actually time. We like things to get a little overripe, a little uncomfortable before we're willing to change, and the 10s always remind us of that. 10 of Swords is one of those cards where you look at it, and when you first take tarot, you first pick up the deck and you see the 10 of Swords, you're like, holy shit, what is that? What is happening there? It is a figure laying on the ground, 10 swords in their back. And one of my favorite tarot writers says, you don't get any deader than the 10 of Swords. Meaning this person is pierced in their spine, up their entire spine, 10 different times, from neck to root. And they are not getting up again. Like there's no confusion about whether this creature is alive or dead. And the 10 of Swords is really associated with the Death card, but it's even funnier than the Death card. The Death card, you see it, you feel it, and when you get to know it, you're like, all right, this is time for release. It's time for an evolution, a shedding of the skin, a transformation. The 10 of Swords comes in and it's like kicking or screaming. It is time for evolution. It is time for transformation. It's done. Like, it's done, baby. Stop waiting for it to come back to life. Stop waiting for it to spring up and surprise you. Stop trying to like drag it around with you. Like, it's done, baby. Weekend at Bernie's, like, he's not coming back. And so there's a little bit of a funny energy in the 10 of Swords of like, Are you sure? Are you sure it's not coming back? Are you sure we're really complete here? And the Ten of Swords is like 100%. You cannot be more complete than you are. I want to talk about mudras for a second, because one of the interesting things about the Ten of Swords is that the figure has their hand they're so dead on the ground, has their hand down, and their hand is making a mudra. The mudra their hand is making, it's their ring finger and their pinky finger bent in towards the palm. And you can kind of question whether the thumb is engaged in that or not. There's a lot of meaning to that hand sign. That hand sign can mean repelling the evil eye. That hand sign can be the mudra that actually generates life and energy back into your body, reminds you that you're living, reminds you how precious this is. It's also, because we see this hand sign somewhere else. Where else do we see this hand sign in the tarot? We see it with the Hierophant. They are holding their hand in the exact same way. In that case, it's supposed to be the benediction, the blessing. It's supposed to be the blessing. So it's interesting here that we see that same hand gesture, that same mudra mirrored in the Ten of Swords. I don't know, what do you think about that? Like, what comes to mind if I tell you that this card there's a line, a thread being drawn between this card and the Hierophant? Like, what do you think's happening there? Why do you think that's being offered to us? One of the ways you might interpret this idea of the mudra, the blessing, the benediction in relation to the Ten of Swords, in relation to the Hierophant, is that we're talking about something bigger than the body. Like, we're talking about something beyond the body. This is a question of spirit. And I would maybe imagine one of the reasons I find this card so humorous is because it really does take us out of confusion about what is real. You know how in the Pentacles card there is always a star within the coin, and what they say is that that is the spiritual embedded in the material. There's something here about the importance of remembering that you are the spiritual embedded in the material. So the body might come and go, and I know that's not an easy thing to say when we're talking about real bodies. The way I miss my mother's real body is deep and constant, right? The way I miss her laugh, her voice, like the texture of her incarnate as my mother, I will never not miss that. So I don't take that lightly. And yet there's something about this card that's illustrating how we get so attached to the material. And I believe that's true, right? We are spiritual beings. This world is an illusion. The body is an incredibly important component to our time here, but it's just one container. It's just this container, and it will not travel with us. Like, it does not define us. There is something about this card that brings our awareness to the idea that remember that you are a limitless being. Remember that the sun will rise and set. Remember that the body will fail and you will endure. And this interesting layer on top of it about the swords energy. So what does it mean that this is a card that shows up for us in swords? How does your thinking actually make you forget? Like, how do you, not even sorcery, that feels even too harsh. Like, how do you create illusion? What is the illusion that you live in that makes you believe this is it? The other thing to think about, so there's a lot of stuff coming through, a lot of energy here is, and this is right on time because the Ten of Swords is too much thinking. It can mean anxiety. It can mean waking up in the middle of the night and being like da 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 da. It's that running train of thoughts. It's like the ceaselessness of the mind. There's something interesting here about the ceaselessness of the mind being a way of distracting you from the fact that you are a limitless being. Thought is beautiful and powerful and framing and helpful and a blessing in so many ways. We benedict, we bless the air energy. And yet it is a way of kind of reinforcing this illusion around this is who you are, this is all that is. And I wonder, I get curious because one of the things I've been working on in my practice is I've been feeling like I'm missing some kind of essential joy that usually is part of my experience, and I keep running past it. Like, I feel so busy. I have a lot happening in my life, and I just feel so busy, and I can get so confused that that's who I am or that's what life is. And I know better, like I can watch it and be like, Kirsten, you know better. And yet I can get carried into the wave of it. I can get carried away with it. So this card shows up to say, notice where there's too much air energy. It also says to you, remember who you are. It also says to you, yeah, it's really done. Like that thing that you might want to keep alive or that thing that you might be scared is going to come back. No, it's really done. There's a completion and a finality to the Ten of Swords that I always find. And again, it might be my dark Scorpio. I love a good transformation. I love a good alchemy. I love a good like birth and re-death and birth and re-death, death and rebirth. I love all of it. I love all the mess of transformation. But I find this very relaxing, this card. It could be a card that generates fear, but I find it relaxing because there's a finality to it and a here we are now to it. Like, let's look at where we are now. The Ten of Swords, and one of the beautiful messages that always comes through with the Ten of Swords is the sun will rise again. If you're here and you're hearing my voice and the sun is rising and the sun is setting, then you're here. Don't take that for granted, because one day you won't be. It doesn't mean you will die, like you don't disappear. You are released into your limitlessness, but this will end. Like this journey, this walk, this body, this time. And so the Ten of Swords is a reminder that no matter how difficult life is, no matter how difficult your thoughts feel or how constricted you are or whatever is getting churned up for you right now, whatever it is, this card is a reminder that it will not last, that nothing lasts forever. Nothing dies, like energy doesn't go away. It's constantly changing form. And yet it's constantly changing form. And that's kind of an interesting paradox. Like nothing goes away and yet everything will go away. So this idea of the Ten of Swords is like whatever it is, the pain, the beauty, the sweetness, the terror, it will change form. It will not last. And there's something about the Ten of Swords that there's a finality to the way we've thought about it before. And I say on top of the moon, like we had that Seven of Swords, then we had the moon, and now we're in Ten of Swords. It's an interesting idea of like, what is dying away? What is this evolutionary leap you've taken forward? And do you trust it? Like, do you trust yourself that you are not going back? And the Ten of Swords and the moon, those two cards together say you are not going back. It is not coming back. It is done now. Whatever you need to do to make peace around that, to trust that, I invite you into ritual. I invite you into ceremony. I invite you into letter writing or journaling around the things that feel done. Like if you imagine that this thing, whatever it is for you, was really complete, how would you behave now? How would you act differently if you really knew you could put that to bed? And the ritual comes in if it needs to be put to bed. So is it a fear? Is it a relationship? Is it a dynamic? Is it a thought form? Is it a way of operating, a habitual way of operating that you want to say goodbye to? Like, thank you, bow, and end the practice. I am done now. I'm complete with this. I am evolving forward. The sun is rising again on a new day. I am not the same body that I was yesterday. And that's the other last thing I'm going to say about the Ten of Swords, a reminder that your body itself is ever evolving, ever changing. And so when you wake up today, you are housed in a new home than you were the day before, and tomorrow it will be a new home again. Can you cherish this? Can you be here? There's something about the Ten of Swords that is just a notice of how intoxicating and distracting our mental energy can be. And it's an invitation back home to your spirit, and it's an invitation back home to your body. It's an invitation to be here now and enjoy what is, because I promise you, baby, it is changing. Ten of Swords, take a look at it. And take a look at that mudra they're making. Maybe even play with that hand gesture yourself. What is it trying to say to you? Like, is it asking for protection? Is it asking for a blessing? Is it asking for a reinvigoration of your life force energy? Which of those mudras or something completely different comes to you? And if you know this mudra, if it has a something you use or work with, please let me know. Like, comment on the podcast. Like, let me know what's happening there, because it's an interesting thing that I always recognize. But when I pulled the card this week, I looked right at it. I was like, what is the Hierophant doing here? I love this card. I think it was one of my uncle's life lessons. And whenever I see it, I think of him, and it makes me happy. And I am terrified of the dentist, and I had this kind of stressful experience. And when I was calling on my ancestors in the chair, trying to like calm myself down and bring myself into a state of relaxation and into what was, it was this uncle that showed up for me actually and sat with me and was like, I got you, girly. I got you. Maybe you need that too. Maybe you need to know that you're being held, and there's nothing wrong with asking for that this week. All right, Ten of Swords, take good care of yourself. And yeah, just remember, if there's something that you need to be finished with, this energy is with you. It's saying, I got you, I understand, let's be done with it. Honor that and trust that. That's the more important thing, trust that. Talk to you soon. Happy August, happy summer. Much love, big hugs. Check you later.